In this video, I'm gonna talk about the jealousy between Miles and Gwen in the Spider-Verse movies. Even though it's kind of subtle, it's still there, and it's definitely worth exploring.
Hey.
Okay, then. I'll see you around.
Oh, see you.
Before we start, it's important to know that Across the Spider-Verse is kind of from Miles' point of view. So, the movie shows us events through his perspective. It's clear that the movie has a love story between him and Gwen.
How have you been?
I've been good. I've been, just great. Look at you. You grew, huh? Had a little growth spurt?
Yeah.
Although it's not the main plot, it still plays a big part in the story, no doubt about it. So naturally, there are moments of jealousy and tension between them, which makes sense in any love story. The jealousy we see in the movie mostly comes from Miles being jealous of Spider-Punk and Gwen feeling jealous of Spider-Bite. The first time we hear about Hobie, aka Spider-Punk, is when Gwen brings him up while she and Miles are swinging through the city on their little spider date. She mentions a few people in the Spider Society, like Jessica Drew, who's her mentor, and Miguel, the leader. Then, she casually mentions Hobie. Gwen didn't mean to make Miles jealous, but it did, which is exactly what the filmmakers intended. They wanted to put us in Miles' shoes, making us feel what he was feeling at that moment. Gwen had crashed into Hobie's dimension a few times before. She didn't live there, but she stayed there occasionally, like she probably did in other universes, such as Jessica's or Pav's. She spent a little more time in Hobie's dimension because she was his band's drummer. If you watched the movie, you know that Spider-Punk is all about supporting people in need.
Man like Miles, my God. I don't follow orders, neither does he.
Gwen, being homeless at the time with just the clothes on her back, was no exception. She couldn't go back to her own universe to get her things, so it makes sense that Hobie offered her a place to stay in his dimension. He also benefited by getting a drummer for his band, and I'm sure Gwen talked about Miles a lot while she was with Hobie, because when he first meets Miles, it's clear that he's heard a lot about him.
Is this the younger from 1610? Bit of advice. Use the palm, not just your fingers.
It's the vibe you get when someone knows a lot about a person but hasn't actually met them yet. So when Hobie teases Miles about Gwen leaving her stuff in his place and wearing his shoes, it's meant to make Miles feel jealous and Gwen awkward. Hobie knows Gwen likes Miles, and he's just having a little fun with them, which fits perfectly with his character. It's unfortunate that some people misunderstood this part of the movie, but I think it's kind of expected because everyone has their own way of interpreting things, so it's totally normal for people to see scenes differently or have different opinions. No one's perspective or understanding of the movie will be exactly the same. The first time Miles met Spider-Bite, or Margo Kess, he was definitely trying to start a conversation with her, almost like flirting. Gwen noticed this right away and wasn't too happy about it. The funniest part is that before Gwen shot a web on his back to pull him away from Margo, Hobie shouts, "Let's go."
We should go. We don't want to keep the boss waiting.
See you around?
Let's go!
Hey, good luck out there, man.
Okay, bye!
It was almost like he was saying, "Come on, Miles, you don't want to make Gwen jealous." Honestly, Miles was kind of flirting with Margo, and you could see from Gwen's expression that she wasn't thrilled about it. Let me explain something interesting here. Gwen is wearing Hobie's shoes, which makes sense when you remember that at the start of the movie, she's wearing shoes that look similar to his, but hers stayed behind in her universe. We know Gwen had to leave in a hurry because of her father, and she left everything behind. Hobie has shoes almost like hers, but his are a little bigger. So, she ties the laces around them to make them fit, which is pretty funny, but it shows why she's wearing them. She noticed that Hobie's shoes were basically the same, just a bit bigger, and that's why she decided to wear them. It's a theory, but it makes a lot of sense if we think about it. Plus, I'm pretty sure Hobie knew she was wearing his shoes before he even mentioned it. I think he brought it up to mess with Miles and make him feel jealous. Maybe before Gwen went to Miles' universe, she put the shoes without Hobie knowing, just to impress Miles or something. But it makes more sense that Hobie knew she was wearing his shoes and mentioned it to get a reaction from Miles, knowing full well that Gwen likes him. A lot of people pit Spider-Bite and Gwen against each other, almost like they're romantic rivals for Miles, but honestly, that's not really what's going on. Gwen definitely feels jealous, but by the end of the movie, when she's gathering the spider people to rescue Miles, she includes Margo in the group. So, it doesn't seem like Gwen has anything against Spider-Bite. It's unclear how the next movie is going to affect Miles and Gwen's relationship, whether they'll end up together, or if something big will happen, like someone important dying. We just don't know. But one thing's for sure, the filmmakers know exactly what they're doing. They're building a beautiful love story between Miles and Gwen, and they haven't even kissed yet or had a climactic moment, but there are still a lot of people rooting for them to be together. This just shows how well their relationship is being portrayed. It's been slow, with tension, jealousy, challenges, and understanding, all things that make any relationship feel real and natural. We've seen the beginning and the middle, but the ending is still unknown. If we think about it, Into the Spider-Verse came out in 2018, so it's been almost 6 years now. We don't know when Beyond the Spider-Verse will come out, but if it's in 2026, 2027, or 2028, that will make it over 7 years of development for their relationship. That's a long time to build such an invested love story that even people who aren't into romance enjoy.